Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Sonali and welcome to my new channel EdCouch, and thank you so much for all your love and support so far. So today's topic is STLC, Software Testing Life Cycle. So this is a very crucial topic. So we are going to spend next 15 minutes on this. So what do you mean by STLC? So STLC is an approach, through which you are trying to achieve your goal, software testing goal, throughout the software development life cycle. So it's a proper life cycle. If someone is telling you SDLC and STLC, which is software development life cycle and software testing life cycle, are same, no, it's not same. It is different. How? That I am going to tell you now.
But software testing life cycle, actually it's a setup process and phases that define the testing activities and methodology which you are going to perform to ensure the quality of a software product. So as I said, STLC is different than SDLC because it's a systematic approach, to test the software throughout the software development life cycle, which is SDLC, starting from requirement gathering until the software deployment. So it involves both verification and validation activities. As you can see my screen, STLC involve various phases actually, So one by one we will go in detail. The first one is requirement analysis, next is test planning, third one is test design, fourth one is test execution, next is test reporting, and the final is the closure. So the requirement analysis, actually in this phase the requirements of the software are analyzed to understand the feature and functionality to be tested.
So requirement phase is like a requirement analysis process in which a tester is actually studying the requirement from a testing point of view, not a development point of view, to identify the testable requirement. And during this process, QA team may interact with various stakeholders in order to understand the requirement thoroughly or in detail. So in this case, the requirement might be functional or non-functional. So here in this phase, we are also taking care of the automation feasibility. Like for this particular project, whether the automation feasibility is there or not. So if we talk about the, what are the tasks we are going to do in this requirement phase is like identify the requirements, going through them. So from that, identify the type of test we are going to perform, gather the detailed requirement about testing priorities and focus, prepare the requirement traceability matrix. This is one of the most important, tasks to be covered. Identify the test environment detail, meaning where the testing is going to be performed and the detail of that particular environment and how we are how we can get the credential for that particular environment and from whom, and the deliverable of the requirement phase testing. So here in this phase, when we're actually preparing the RTM, which is requirement traceability matrix, we are also going to prepare a automation feasibility report if it is applicable for the project.
So the test planning is the next phase. Here the testing team prepare a comprehensive test plan that outlines the scope, objective, test strategy, resources and timeline of the testing processes.
Okay, as you can see, the test planning phase is the next step of requirement phase. Here a senior QA manager actually determine the test plan strategy along with the effort and the cost estimate for the project. Moreover, the resources, test limitations and priority along with the test environment and the testing schedule is determined in this phase. So in the same phase, actually the test plan also getting prepared and approved by the stakeholder. This is one of the major entry and exit criteria. Entry criteria for the next phase and exit criteria for planning phase. So if I summarize the activities for this planning phase is like prepare and approve test plan or strategy document for various type of testing. Second, test tool selection. Third, test effort estimation. Fourth, resource planning and determine the roles and responsibilities. Fifth, training requirement if it is really necessary. If it's just an upgrade or a IMR, then we can ignore this. And the next one and the last one is deliverable of the test planning. So in this phase, test plan or strategy document is really important. So that should be your focus point in this phase.
So test design, actually the test team design the test cases here and the test scenarios based on the requirement and specification of the software.
So as you can see, the test design is third stage of STLC. So this phase is actually determine the test cases, define them, create them, if necessary then upgrade or maybe amend the test cases and finalize them. So this phase involves the creation, verification and rework of the test cases as and when it is necessary and finalize them. So after the test plan is ready, we are ensuring the test scripts are also ready along with the test plan. Initially, the test data is actually identified, created and get it ready during this phase. It should be reviewed and reworked also basis on the precondition. After which, a QA team actually starts the test case design phase for the individual units. So if I talk about the activities involved, the first one is creation of your test cases along with the automation script if it is required. Second, review and baseline the test cases and scripts. Create your test data, but there is a precondition. You can only create your test data if the test environment setup is ready. And deliverable of the test case development should be ready by this phase. So these are the activities.
In the test execution phase, the testing team execute the design test cases in order to identify the defects or bug and other issues in the software.
So this test execution is the next phase of this test design phase. Here a tester actually execute the script which already he or she has created in the previous phase of STLC. The process consists of test script execution, test script maintenance and bug reporting. And as and when a bug is reported, it should be reverted back to the development team for the correction and retesting will be performed after the bug fix. So if we talk about the activities here in this phase, so the first one is execute your test scripts, document test reports and prepare a log report for each of the open defects, document test results and log defects for the failed cases, map each of the defect to a particular test case, which is very important. Once the defect fix is ready, retest, track the open defect till closure, deliverable of the test execution. So here the defect tries is really an important role, you can see. I will talk about the defect tries process and tools we use in a separate session. I don't want to club it with this. So yeah, that's all for the test execution phase.
So the test reporting, in this phase the test team prepare a test report that provides an overall idea of the testing process, defect identifies, other metrics.
Here I also talk about the test reporting phase, which is the next step where you are preparing your test results, put it in a report kind of thing and then save it somewhere in the shared drive or SharePoint, wherever your project team saves their data. And if they are capturing the test results directly in a tool like Jira or ALM, that also you can do. So basis on project to project, company to company, this test reporting phase will be different. So we will also take a separate session on the test reporting hopefully soon, because I don't want to club the it's a big chapter, I don't want to club it here.
The final phase is test closure. Here the testing team perform a final review of the software in order to ensure that all the requirements are met and the software is ready for deployment.
Okay, so the final phase of the STLC is test closure. So this is important because this will define your exit criteria of it or testing. So here very carefully evaluate your test closure activity or cycle completion criteria based on time, test coverage, cost, software, critical business objective and quality, which is very important. So basis on all this factor, you can actually look for your closure, find for your closure in order to see whether you meet that minimum requirement basis on the test strategy has been created or not. So prepare your test metrics basis on the above parameter which I said. You can document your lesson learned here, like in case there are some lesson learned you want to document. And let me tell you, this is a very important factor of your testing. because for sure there will be lesson learned. If you document it carefully in your test closure document, it may help you or some other manager or a test lead. In case they are facing similar situation, initial days only they can fix it. Prepare the test closure report with all the detail captured very carefully. Qualitative and quantitative reporting on quality of the work product to the customer. Analyze the test result to find out the defect distribution by type and severity. Deliverable of your test cycle closure. So why you need to document your defect very carefully? Because sometimes maybe a few defects will be deferred. Deferred meaning they cannot be fixed in this particular time period due to lack of time, or it may require a lot of rework which a development team doesn't have the bandwidth to do at the moment. So all those detail unit, or maybe some low priority defect which can be ignored due to their cosmetic defects. So all this detailing should be mentioned in your test closure document for sure, which will give a better clarity to the stakeholder, because they are not doing the ground level testing or development work, right? So for them to know all this detail is really important in order to put that particular build on go live.
So if we talk about STLC phase in detail, each of these stages actually has a definite entry and exit criteria, activities and deliverable associated with this, as we discussed. So the entry criteria actually gives the prerequisite items, preconditions that must be completed before the testing can begin. And the exit criteria defines the items that must be completed before you ensure the testing is completed or concluded. So we have entry and exit criteria for all label in the software testing life cycle. So we will not enter into next stage of the STLC, next phase of the STLC until the exit criteria of the previous stage is met. Example, we will not jump into test planning until unless the requirement gathering is completed, or similar way we will not jump into test reporting until unless the test execution phase is completed.
So guys, that's all about STLC. I hope I gave enough in-depth idea, because STLC is something, your software test cycle, you are actually utilizing this testing cycles phase by phase in order to achieve the overall SDLC, which is software development life cycle. So that's all for today's session. I will meet you in my next session with some new chapter, or maybe something which you want to know. Just comment below. And until that, try exploring a new skill. You never know, it may help you in long run. So that's all for today's session. Bye.